It is with a heavy heart that I say, Jimmy Kimmel, welcome to podcasting. Love it or leave it. But first, let's get into it. What a week. On Tuesday, Donald Trump and his legal wife, Melania Trump, went across the pond to the world's second most famous island of pedophiles, Great Britain. The First Lady and Worst Man met with King Charles and Queen Camilla at Windsor, where Melania debuted a brand new look. On loan from the Queen's private Spirit Halloween collection. It's obviously a joke. It's from Eileen Fisher's new collab with David Cronenberg. While at Windsor, Trump shared some poignant remarks at a state dinner.
I believe we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. In fact, nobody's even questioning it, but we owe so much of that to you and the footing that you gave us when we started.
King Charles spit out soup when he heard that. And he wasn't even having soup. That's just what's in British people's mouths. Trump also took the opportunity to celebrate some of the UK's best.
Shakespeare and Dickens and Tolkien, Lewis, Orwell, and Kipling. Incredible people. Unbelievable people like we have rarely seen before, probably won't see again.
I'll defend him when he's right, but would he do the same for me? And I know I'll get shit for this, but I'll say it. Tolkien in the same league as Shakespeare and Orwell? Oh, sure, you fucking dweeps. Oh, really? Oh, really? You think that's right? You think that's right? Shakespeare painted with the English language in ways previously unimaginable. Orwell with rigor and clarity, helping us to understand the tools by which we obliterate our own humanity. And then you have Tolkien, who taught us that the little ones have hair on their feet and eat a lot of sandwiches, but in a language he made up. Deal with it. Cancel me, Brandon Carr. I hate The Lord of the Rings. Fucking dog shit. Ooh, ooh, ooh. The ring makes you invisible, but it also does other stuff. The little ones are sweet. The tall ones are kind of mean. Which are the Jews in Lord of the Rings? Rudyard Kipling was perfect, though. No notes. He was racist. He wrote some really racist stuff. You know? And the original text of the Jungle Book is not so sweet. It wasn't just the pomp and circumstance Trump enjoyed about monarchy, for back at home, his administration began to lay out how in the wake of Charlie Kirk's gruesome murder, the government would begin a wider crackdown on dissent. Here was Stephen Miller earlier this week.
With God as my witness, we are going to use every resource we have at the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and throughout this government to identify, disrupt, dismantle, and destroy these networks and make America safe again for the American people. It will happen, and we will do it in Charlie's name.
As of this recording, we have seen no evidence to suggest that Kirk's murderer wasn't acting alone. According to the transcript released as part of the investigation, he may have been motivated by his love for a trans person, which fills me with an incredible amount of rage, because whatever we learn in the coming days, this guy was too demented or stupid to appreciate the consequences of his actions, which orphaned 2 children and fueled a crackdown while making life worse for every trans person in America, not least of whom is the person he was texting and claiming to love, who, according to Utah's Republican governor, had no idea what Robinson was planning and has been cooperating fully. And I'll say here, as we learn more, we should not be the least bit reluctant to confront the truth of this killer's motivations. If the shooter wanted to kill Charlie Kirk for being right-wing or holding anti-trans views, then we should be as appalled and unabashed in acknowledging that as when political violence targets the left. We've seen because we've seen voices on the right smear half the country for this killing, claiming that this was a war of the left. But that is false, and to do anything other than scream from the rooftops that this person does not speak for us is to act just a little bit like you've internalized the right's logic. J.D. Vance went further in that conversation with Stephen Miller.
So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer.
But J.D., there are thousands of people making gross jokes on the internet all the time. There are too many. How can we make a difference? Ah, said Vance, picking up a starfish and getting it fired from its job as a community college administrator. It made a difference to this one. The number of people who understood that analogy and that story was not as many in the meeting as I wanted it to be. How many people know the starfish thing? That's so interesting. Wait, how many people know it like it's the back of your hand, feel like you've heard it a million times? And how you've never heard that before in your life? Wow. I think it's like, really? So there's this story, all right? There's a mother and daughter walking down the shore, and the daughter starts looking around like, all these starfish are going to die. What are we going to do? We can't help them all. And the mother picks one up and throws it in the ocean and says, it made a difference to that one. Huh? Right? Anyway. Attorney General Pam Bondi promised to do more than just get you fired for offensive comments on Katie Miller's podcast earlier this week.
There's free speech and then there's hate speech. And there is no place, especially now, especially after what happened to Charlie in our society. We will absolutely target you, go after you if you are targeting anyone with hate speech.
Are you a black square on Instagram in June of 2020? Because I think you're caught up in the moment and not really helping anybody. Sure. Pam Bondi also said this to Fox News.
And employers, you have an obligation to get rid of people. You need to look at people who are saying horrible things, and they shouldn't be working with you. Businesses cannot discriminate. If you want to go in and print posters with Charlie's pictures on them for a vigil, you have to let them do that. We can prosecute you for that.
No, you can't. You have to print posters? What's next? Demanding a baker bake a cake with Charlie's picture on it? Demanding a baker bake a cake for your special event honoring Charlie Kirk, and then the baker objects because he's gay, but also way more extreme than Charlie Kirk ever was, forcing this paranoid, anti-Semitic gay baker to bake a cake that doesn't agree with his politics? And there are these starfish all over the place? Bondi actually faced enough blowback for her comments from the right that she walked it back, restricting her view to hate speech that contains threats. But King Baby wasn't so troubled.
And what do you make Pam Bondi saying she's going to go after hate speech? Is that, I mean, a lot of your allies say hate speech is free speech.
We'll probably go after people like you because you treat me so unfairly. It's hate. You have a lot of hate in your heart. Maybe they'll come after ABC. Well, ABC paid me $16 million recently for a form of hate speech, right? Your company paid me $16 million for a form of hate speech, so maybe they'll have to go after you.
Please no, take this instead, said Disney's panicked lawyers, pushing a confused George Stephanopoulos out of a Suburban. But cooler heads soon prevailed, like Missouri Senator Eric Schmidt.
There can be no unity between good and evil. Somebody has to win this thing. And as a country, we have to absolutely reject it. And don't tell me it's both sides. This system lurks behind every radical leftist movement in our nation today. The George Soros empire has financed a vast ecosystem of radicals.
Yet here I am every week, unequivocally denouncing political violence and trying to find new and funny ways to describe Trump's hands for a pretty good audience of liberals who can barely organize the totes piling up in their closets, let alone a vast radical empire. We have never, none of us, ever, needed more than 2 totes. Ever. I cannot think of an occasion in my life where any of us have ever needed more than 2 totes. Because if you ever need 3 totes, you go to duffel and tote. You never need more than 2 totes, and yet to get rid of a tote is unthinkable. Love or Leave It is brought to you by the Freedom from Religion Foundation. The First Amendment protects all of our rights to practice whatever faith we have, or the right to not have any faith at all. And yet what we see is a lot of politicians trying to impose their worldview and their religion on everybody. That includes in the public schools. We've seen that in Louisiana with a law around school chaplains and putting 10 commandments in the classroom that's currently held up in court, though we have no idea what the Supreme Court will do. And so if you believe that people should be free to practice whatever religion they want without the government impinging on it, or free to not practice any religion at all, that's where the Freedom from Religion Foundation comes in to help do what a lot of lawmakers aren't, defending the First Amendment. They sue, they win, and they're making sure kids can focus on science class and that public schools aren't turned into religious Sunday schools. Go to ffrf.us/school or text LOVEIT, that's LOVETT, to 511-511. Visit FFRF at ffrf.us/school or text LOVETT to 511-511, Because if I'm going to live by the 10 Commandments, I'm going to do it on private property, not government property. That's where I do all my coveting, John. That's where I do all my...
That's where you break all your other commandments?
Yeah, that's where I take the Lord's name in vain the most. Remember, text Lovett to 511-511 or go to ffrf.us/school or text LOVETT to 511-511 today. Love It or Leave It is brought to you by IndaCloud. You made it through work traffic in the group chat that just won't quit. IndaCloud is how you make the rest of the night yours again. IndaCloud makes federally legal THC gummies, exotic flower, pre-rolls, and vapes built for that sweet spot between I'm done and I'm actually fine. Well, I'm excited to try IndaCloud. All their products are Farm Bill compliant. And over here at Crooked,
We're sticklers for the Farm Bill.
we love that Farm Bill. 100% federally legal, third-party tested, and shipped discreetly. No sketchy dispensary runs in traffic, no mystery ingredients. Just 50,000 plus happy customers who like their relaxation legal, simple, and delivered. Looking for better sleep? They've got a gummy for that. Want a light social buzz without tipping into chaos? Easy. Need something with a little more kick? That's where the Beast Mode collection comes in. Potent enough to impress seasoned pros, still legal and predictable. Whatever your vibe, quiet porch nights, book in hand afternoons, or a weekend hang with friends, IndaCloud's got a match that's tested, trusted, and delivered right to your door. Whether you want better focus for that September reset, deeper sleep as the days get shorter, or just a peaceful scroll before bed, this is how grown-ups take the edge off now. If you're 21 or older, go to indacloud.co, use code LOVEIT for 25% off your first order plus free shipping. That's INDACLOUD.co, code LOVEIT, LOVETT, for 25% off, free shipping, and a better mood showing up right to your door. Take their quick survey when you order to support this show, and thank IndaCloud for making September feel a little lighter. As always, please enjoy responsibly. Huge thanks to IndaCloud for sponsoring today's episode. And then it was Jimmy Kimmel's turn in the barrel. After the Kirk murder, Kimmel said this.
We're like the rest of the country, we're still trying to wrap our heads around the senseless murder of the popular podcaster and conservative activist Charlie Kirk yesterday, whose death has amplified our anger, our differences. And I've seen a lot of extraordinarily vile responses to this from both sides of the political spectrum. Some people are cheering this, which is something I won't ever understand.
You get a job on a game show as the goofy everyman to make Ben Stein seem even weirder. Next thing you know, you're trying to deftly handle a political assassination on your late-night comedy program. But he did it. But then, on Monday, he said this.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Because there was evidence by Monday that the killer, while growing up in a Republican home, was not MAGA, conservatives already hostile toward Kimmel let rip. On Wednesday, FCC chair and guy who would definitely shut down the containment grid and then blame the Ghostbusters for the consequences, Brendan Carr issued an ultimatum.
But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
We can do this the easy way or the hard way. As a rule, if you are a federal regulator and you sound like Judge Doom holding a terrified shoe over a barrel of dip, you are not the hero in this story. And by the way, lest there be any doubt, Carr didn't leave it at that ominous but vague warning that he was using the leverage over licensing to threaten a specific show and a specific disfavored comedian. Here's what he said next.
These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
And he described what that work was, because it included the possibility of fines or license revocation. Within hours, ABC announced that Jimmy Kimmel Live would be preempted indefinitely, suspending the show after Nexstar, owner of 28 ABC affiliates, said it wouldn't air Kimmel. It is with a heavy heart that I say, Jimmy Kimmel, welcome to podcasting. In a statement, Nexstar criticized Kimmel's comments and promised to replace the show with other programming in its ABC-affiliated markets. Worth noting, Nexstar is currently pursuing a merger that requires approval by the FCC. Once they acquire their largest rival, Tegna, it will own 265 stations in 44 states, which reaches 80% of American households. Look, sometimes a bad thing has to be done in the service of an even worse thing. Anyway, I'm looking forward to a whole bunch of Republican-friendly comedies on ABC with new shows like The Big Bang Theory is wrong. Maude keeps the baby. Fresh off and right back on the boat. Abbott Charter Elementary. Mork and Mindy and Ice. Perfect Strangers, and Ice. And Roseanne. Plus, stay tuned for ABC's upcoming miniseries, Roots 2, Not So Bad. And hey, Brendan Carr, if it's cinema you're after, Disney has got you covered with live-action Mulan, but she's a girl the whole time and leaves the fighting to the men, starring Sydney Sweeney. Luca 2, Luca reels in a wife. Bambi from the hunter's point of view. And I'm excited for this one, White Encanto. Trump wrote about it on Truth Social, saying, "Great news for America. The ratings challenge Jimmy Kimmel show is canceled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel had zero talent and worse ratings than even Colbert, if that's even possible. That leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers on fake news NBC. Their ratings are also horrible. Do it, NBC. Do it." Like he's trying to get Donna Langley to chug a beer. And then on the plane, he suggested to reporters that these companies lose their license for being, in his words, 97% against him. This is a classic in the genre of Trump, which is a bunch of these intellectual Zambonis, conservatives who try to figure out a way to defend Trump's actions, spent the day explaining that this was really about Kimmel's inaccuracy. And how it was actually a business decision, and that while Carr's comments may have been in some way unwise or unhelpful, it was not a violation of the First Amendment because it was a decision by the affiliates. And then Trump is like, 2 down, 2 to go, bitches. They're all against me. Fuck them up, NBC. Sinclair Broadcasting Group also pulled Kimmel from their ABC stations. They demanded Kimmel apologize. They demanded he donate to Kirk's nonprofit, Turning Point USA, and announced that a Charlie Kirk in memoriam special will air during Kimmel's time slot on Friday. Wow. A special tribute on every station? They'll probably do this for me when I go, said Joe Biden. No one having the heart to tell him that they might not even break into commercial. And finally this week, a mom of 2 set a Guinness World Record for longest barefoot run on Lego bricks. When reached for comment, the woman said, "Ow, my feet!" That's it. It's a dark week of news. You want a serious close? That's it. We're ending on the fucking Lego joke. Deal with it.
Respect